in big trouble. Ken should be able to acquire the skill very easily. Just another remnant to play with, as Ken, he appears to still not be done, but 11 does have the timber chains. As Ken, he still wants to go for the dives. Now, he does have that arcane rune. The static remnant is going to hit him, but it seems like Ken may have wandered on a bit too far. The dream call is going to be there, so too with the silence, but they have no more disable for Ken. He's just going to be able to zap back towards that high ground. And again, this is going to be the big problem for your show. Or rather, I think it appears to be a problem for both sides, the lack of follow-up, right? That's why you see Ken being able to play so aggressive. Unfortunately, if you lose your supports, you don't have any more lockdown, because your biggest disabler is your shaman. Timbersaw, he wants to go in alongside the Kaz. They should be able to take Brick out at the very least. It is going to be just be a support kill, but still a bit of something. As the alternate strategy for Ivory, or rather for Yeshua, may just be to take down these towers. However, it's the overgrowth, as they will be able to take out Panda, and it's going to be Ken who come in with that remnant, enough damage to take out Teehee. It's going to be Gringe, the one in a bit of trouble, but he actually found a kill, so he found his first Desolator stack, and now wants to turn it around. With the initial stun coming out towards the Storm Spirit, they don't have any more disables, and that means it's going to be Ivory who will turn it around. It's a Dream Coil that does come out, Vortex on towards that Kaz, but unfortunately Ken did not have that HP, and the Kaz is just simply coming in with too much damage. It's a double kill for Gringe, and he ends up with a mega kill streak. 6 Desolator stacks already for him, as this has become a very worthwhile purchase. He has started to snowball. Can buy another component of that Manta style, or rather the first component of that Manta style. Only about 200 gold away from his Yasha. This is problematic for the side of Ivory. I mean, sure, they have been able to shut down that Puck, but the Puck has managed to recover, right? This is what I was talking about. Krish, he's playing a hero that can find his recovery fairly easily, as towards that mid lane, it's the Shackle on that Clinks, the biggest target of them all. However, Karma is going to stay safe for a little while longer before he goes down. Tammy will actually be the trade. It'll be Bisk and Tammy who have both lost their lives, but now with 11 coming in, Panda is able to be the difference maker. It is going to be Yasho who will end up with a kill on Ken, as well as the kill on Drake, making that into a favorable exchange, especially for this Kaz. He seems to be out of control. And, you know, there's always going to be the question mark of how do you actually bring in control against the Kaz.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
When you don't exactly have any disables. Bisk got slowed down. I mean, the Bristleback should be able to pick up the kill on the Shaman, but at the same time, Teehee will go down to Gringe, as it's going to be a bit of trouble for both of those supports. I mean, the supports in this game clearly not going to have a good time. At the same time, Gringe needs to be careful. Now, she does have a lot of damage, but all of that damage can be returned by Rapido, who does have that Blade Mail. As Ken has completed his Greaves, as opposed to Krish, who's completed his Witchblade. So, the Greaves counters out the Witchblade, at least on Ken himself, as he can just pop the Greaves and dispel himself. But I think the Greaves, the biggest benefit to the Greaves is going to be the dispel against that silence coming in from Krish, right? The overtime DPS from the Witchblade can be absorbed. The silence, though, you need to dispel that away, because that is one of the only sources of disables for both of these two teams. The silence from the Mortha, the silence from the Puck, right? The only difference is you have a Shaman on the side of your show, so you have an additional disable, or rather 2 additional disables, if I'm being quite frank.
Let the fun begin.
They are coming in. They know that Ken is there. He did clear out that creep wave. Krish with the haste rune, his smoke is going to pop. And they see the storm spirit. Dream Coil will be unleashed. The coil will break as the Bisque comes on in. Has that shackle, and that will be all she wrote for Ken. It will be Krish to come out with the kill, with the revenge kill on that storm spirit. And a 1000 net worth advantage begins to stack up. Shadow Shaman begins to run back. He does find the Hex, but it's going to be a very difficult way to make it that way out. Well, I mean, it's not really going to be possible. Ken will actually come in for the kill. Ironically, the same place where Ken died just a minute ago. Or rather, just a half a minute ago. Mantasal built up for the Kez, and this is the problem. I mean, this Kez is just simply too far ahead compared to anyone else in the game. Simply able to farm up way too quick. A pace the Klinks is not able to match. He's 2,000 net worth behind. Or rather, 3,000 net worth behind. Gringe, who has an entire item above that of the Klinks. I have to hold that thought as it seems like a full team fight has broken out. It's a Dream Coil, it's a Shaman who will lose his life first, but it should be the Morta who does also go down, so support's being traded out in a very favorable exchange for Yasho's lineup. I mean, they've taken out both of the supports, and they're still not done. With Rapido faced up with that pure damage coming in from that Timber Saw, he doesn't stand a chance. It's going to be 3 kills overall. Ken should be able to disengage. It's going to be Karma who will attempt to look for something. I'm not sure if he's going to use his barrage. He does. With the Storm Spirit coming in, they should be able to take out Panda. As the tower also falls, so it does still seem to be a favorable exchange. That's a 3,000 net worth advantage, and the kind of returns that Ivory are getting are too little. Sure, it's a Timber Saw kill, but they found that in isolation. In the end, the team fight is still very lackluster, and you can see that Karma will fall too. That is essentially 4 kills taking into the macro perspective, as a 4 for 2 exchange now is the end result. A 4 for 2 exchange, plus also you lost your tower. So 4 deaths and a tower, not a good look for Ivory. Korean Protector, Teehee did end up going down. Drake will also be the casualty. And again, it just seems like the momentum that Yasho are coming in with is quite clearly unstoppable.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
So where's that mid lane, Krish? Will be able to phase shift, and it's actually going to be Gringe. He's very low and will actually go down. A godlike streak being picked up by Ken. This is perhaps the perfect comeback. It's going to be Bisque who will end up falling. Ken now ends up with a dominating streak. Certainly the breakthrough moment that Yasho, or rather that Ivory were looking for. It's Rapido towards that front line, and the problem is for Yasho, without their big damage dealer, they can't contest this kind of push. It's going to be Panda who will come in as a difference maker. He will be able to take out Rapido before being locked down himself. The Scalding will come down, and he will get silenced. Now with a barrage coming in from Karma, Panda is going to be in trouble. He will end up falling. So despite of the fact that they did lose Rapido, it is still going to be a very favorable exchange coming for Ivory. They finally fight back in a way that comes out in their favor. I mean, they've pretty much managed to even out this entire game. And the sheer fact, the fact of the matter is, Ken, he has consistently from the start of the game had more impact compared to the Storm Spirit. So he's, he's doing very well for himself and should be able to lock down the puck. I do think that the Orchid is a much better item for Ken in this game, considering the fact that they don't have any lockdown. You need that additional silence, you need that additional utility coming in. Not to mention, the silence is also pretty good against the Kez. The only problem is, Gringe has the Manta Style, so he can dispel the Orchid away, but having the Orchid is still good, right? Because if you know that the Manta Style has been used, you can drop down the silence on the Kez, take him out. As right now, they are on the move themselves.
Radiant are scanning.
It's gonna be Kez, or rather Ken, who will grab up Tammy. However, the response has already come in. The Kez has gone in and has been able to take out Drake as the Warlock survived. It's the Dream Call. Ken will be locked down and will actually go down. It's Rapido who will tuck tails and run with that bristleback as this team fight has gone completely awry, but Bisque is going to come in with a shackle. The burning barrage from Karma will be able to return quite a bit of damage and able to take out Bisque, but it's still going to be 11 who will go in for a double kill. You've lost their carry and have no way out of this team fight. Rapido should be able to make it back to his high ground, but the only problem is he has a Timbersaw chasing after him, and a Whirling Death will be enough to take out Rapido. Is going to be an entire team wipe as the last remaining member, Teehee, is also going to drop. YACHE, showing that they can come up with the better team fight, and in fact will receive quite a hefty prize for their troubles. It will be Roshan, who does fall really quickly. You do have a Desolator come in, the Manta Style illusions to tank up Roshan's damage, and the fact that you have so many disables makes this very easy. Roshan, no contest coming out because quite frankly, there aren't, they only have only 2 heroes alive, so they can't actually contest this in the first place. Again, a very back and forth series, but as it turns out, if I think a big problem of how Ivory are taking these team fights is if they don't find the right initiations, then they're not going to win the team fight. Storm Spirit is going to go for the long range zap out. As towards that top side. Shaman going to have his hex reflected back onto him, but he will have a full duration shackle. 4 heroes on top of Rapido. This is a very dangerous position to be in. I mean, Rapido may not be able to make his way out. As I say that, he does manage to run quite far back. I mean, he has 450 movement speed, but Bisque will know where he went. He will go in for the Blink Dagger shackle and will be able to take out Rapido. Timbersaw also very farmed up. I mean, the Sanjin Gaia, the Lotus Orb, it's similar items to that Bristleback as far as tankability goes, as far as the utility goes. I wonder though which one of these two heroes or which one of these two offlaners is actually going to build up some utility, because it does seem that the Crimson Guard is a good item for both sides. It also seems like the Pipe of Insight is a pretty good item for both sides. Tower does end up going down. As Ken did go for that Orchid, but they have yet to make some kind of a play. Kez, not really too sure if the high ground is the place where Gringe wants to play. At least without his team. I think just a straightforward approach is much better. Take out these tier 2 towers. Oh no. Karma picked apart. Over on the side there, that might just give the opening for YACHE to make their entry into the high ground. No burst damage coming in for the side of Ivory any longer, at least for the next 40 seconds, as there is no buyback. And these towers, they fall pretty easily. Krish, he's gonna go in for the back line. He just wants to push back against Ivory's lineup. 20 seconds without the Clink still. As YACHE, they might be able to take apart this tier 3 barracks. No one actually going for any kind of an initiation, but the backdoor protection is going to kick in. Now, it is going to wear off, but at the same time, Karma has respawned. They still have to be careful, though. It's going to be the Kez who will get grabbed up by that Vortex. Should go down, but no, he's able to activate his Echo Slash. Or rather, his Raptor Dance. He will lose his first life, but it's going to be an overzealous Krish who will also lose his life. It's going to be Gringe in big trouble. They should take apart the barracks while they can, but no. It's going to be Gringe grabbed up, will be brought down, but in the end, YACHE, they did find the objective win. They did find the barracks there, and it's not that bad for them. At the same time, it was Ivory who were able to acquire a few kills, so it's not the worst thing in the world for them either. They didn't have to expend any buybacks for it. They had to fight back against the Aegis, and they did manage to get it done.
Stupendous.
Ken grabbed up by the Vortex, and the Clinks should be able to take him out. No, it'll be Ken who will take him out.
Told you a storm was coming.
Radiant are scanned. Radiant's
Warlock Chaotic Offering comes down, as it is the Warlock himself in a bit of trouble, but return kills happening around the team fight. It is going to be both supports actually, from both sides, who will end up going down. But the fight's not done. It is going to be Rapido in big trouble. Ken is here with the Storm Spirit. Burning Barrage not really coming out, but it's actually going to be Karma grabbed up. The position for the Clinks not really optimal, as that will be his end. Even though the buyback has come in for the Treant Protector, the only problem is, without their Clinks, they can't take 11 down. They can't take the cast down either. Rapido just struggling over here to make something happen, and in the end, all he can do is run around a bit before he ends up falling. Teehee's buyback not really going to be of any use. And as it appears, Ken managed to dodge out that Gleipnir coming in at the very last moment.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Gringe goes in, able to take out that Treant Protector. Second tier Teeth Tower actually goes down. Oh no, they'll be able to take out Drake too. He activates his wheel though, as Ken does jump in with that Vortex. Unfortunately, the Lotus Orb, it absorbed it. Or rather, reflected it back towards Ken, as the second barracks will also go down. Only one lane of barracks remaining, and it does seem like this should be YACHE's game to win. They have so much leeway right now, 13,000 net worth ahead too. A lot of farm over the other team. Ken, ooh, manages to make it out. If he got hit by the Dream Call there,
Dire's top
he would have gone down. He would have still had buyback. But still, Drake has also bought back. Teehee has also bought back. So they won't have the 2 buybacks. And it seems like Ivory, they want to fight outside of their base. If they can burst the cast down, this could be a good start to the fight. But Gringe will be able to grapple away and won't be going down. Someone did bring up a good point. No Aghanim Scepter for the Kez, which is what most Kez players usually build up. But I suppose that the meta for the Kez has evolved quite a bit. You know, instead of playing with the 2 styles, you can just go all in into the 1 style. Teehee will drop. Again, without the buyback, he's going to be down for about 40 seconds. But it's okay simply because of the fact that that top lane barracks is hard to take down. You're gonna have to enter from a different lane. The creeps are not there over on the top side. As Roshan will respawn in 5 seconds. And the big question is Ivory going to contest? Doesn't really seem like it. Second Roshan comes with that banner. And I think a very underrated advantage of the banner is the fact that when you only have 1 barracks remaining, the banner is essentially a guaranteed way to take out the last remaining barracks. I mean, it's not guaranteed, but it's a huge advantage that you have, right? Because it means you can't have backdoor protection as a way to hold on to your last remaining structures. Serpent Ward will be planted down. As it has, they're going to look to burst him down. Should be able to find him, and they actually do. But it's Drake towards that backline who does get caught. It's going to be the Puck who'll come in with a 3-man Dream Coil. Hell holding down the Storm is going to be Krish, or rather, a Panda who'll end up with a triple kill. Rapido with the BKB, rather trying to make his way out, but it's just not going to be possible, is it? Ivory have already lost the 3. They are trying to make it back to their fountain, but the question is, can they actually make their way there? It's going to be Ken who will drop down that GG call. It seems like they do not have the appetite to continue with this game. Panda will be the one to secure himself essentially an entire rampage as the game ends in favor of YACHE123, who, despite of that shaky start for Krish towards that mid lane, he did go down twice. It just seemed like Gringe had too much farm. The Kez was simply too far ahead of anyone else in the game, and the Clinks was not able to farm up as fast as the Kez did. That Desolator rush coming in for Gringe, I mean, it was a risk, but it was a risk that paid off for YACHE123. This is a game won well, but can they do it again against Ivory, who, you know, they in a different tier 2 to tier 3 tournament, they made it all the way to the grand final. Sure, they didn't win, but in the end, Ivory, they demonstrated in that tournament, and they have demonstrated so far, you know, in this year, or even in the past year, that they are one of the best tier 2 Southeast Asian teams out there. Can they actually hold back YACHE123 though? Can they actually come up with a win? That is something that we will have to actually wait and find out. We will be back with Lunar Snake Trophy Season number 6 right after a short break, so don't go anywhere and stay tuned. Hey guys, welcome back to the Grid Station Lunar Snake Trophy Season number 6. Ivory and Yasho going at it. As Yasho, they are currently one game up. Ivory will go back to their fabled gyrocopter. That is their most successful, or I would say most
5 seconds.
picked carry hero. I would say that is their comfort pick whenever they want to essentially secure a game win. They pick up this gyrocopter. Now, I'm not saying that they can lose with this. I'm just saying that this is probably their most successful hero, and it does seem like they're going to put more emphasis on their carry as opposed to their mid laner. I believe last game Ken did have more, there was more emphasis on attempting to reverse the game through Ken, through their mid lane, rather than their carry. But they're going back to their roots. And they have some scary AoE damage, right? That overgrowth plus the call down plus that ice blast certainly seems like they can make that work. As you showed, they pick up a decent bit of pick-off potential, right? The Puck, the Shaman, as well as that Largo. And not to mention, they do have some AoE coming in with that Dream Call as well as that Chaotic Offering. But I think overall the amount of sustain they're playing with is going to be useful. At the same time, I think, when we talk about what the Largo offers, is that it's a mix of sustained heal coming out and overall magical damage at the back of that Aghanim Scepter. But the Ancient Apparition is going to disable at least one of those two components, right? It's that heal that is no longer going to be an effective factor if you do get hit by that Ice Blast, and you don't actually have too many tanky heroes. I mean, it's just the Largo that can tank up a bit of something, but singular heroes that provide you tankiness is not really a viable strategy against an Ancient Apparition, because it really just means that you'd have to plant that Ice Blast on that Largo, and it's probably just game over for the team fight past that point.
5 seconds remaining.
We'll have to see exactly what they'll be able to accomplish with this pick, as it does seem like Ivory want to play a Void Spirit on that mid lane. This is a bit of a reversal, right? Yasho had, Krish played the Storm, or rather, no, Krish played the Puck. So this is the second Puck game. Okay. Ivory did have another Spirit pick, so it's the same thing. It's just the Spirits are going to be swapped around. Instead of the Storm, you'll have the Void Spirit. But again, adds in a bit of AoE damage, right? The only other Spirit that has as much AoE damage as the Void Spirit does is the Earth Spirit, but not really viable in the meta. I think the Void Spirit is good in the sense that you can disseminate away out of these tricky spots, especially against the Largo and the Warlock. But at the same time, again, if you get hit by that Shaman Shackle, if you get locked in by the Hex, or even the Dream Call, any of those three abilities, then potentially you can go down, especially since you show they might go back to a Glass Cannon carry like they had the Kez last game. Unfortunately, there isn't a Kez available right now, so you'll have to go for something else. Maybe they'll go for the Templar Assassin, but at the same time, Ivory, they do pick up that Centaur. Again, one of their more played heroes, and again, a very tanky lineup. This time around, they're coming in with a lot of disables. This is a much different draft. As you show, they're going to pick up a Meepo. This is interesting. Now, I know that CJ is probably the best Meepo player in the Southeast Asian region, so I'm curious to see what Gringe will be able to do. As you show, I mean, this is an interesting pick into several heroes that do well against the Meepo, right? The Gyrocopter, the Ancient Apparition, the Ice Blast, Overgrowth, Call Down, the Ether Remnant from the Void Spirit, even the Centaurs, Hoof Stomp, and Double Edge. It really seems like a scenario that there is no way to play with the Meepo unless you do get to that Aghanim Scepter, unless you do manage to, stack up on that Mega Meepo, have those stats, have those items. You are going to need a lot of farm on this Meepo to be able to do anything this game. And for Ivory, I would very well give them the edge of the draft. It's still, even though the draft seems like it's 60-40 or even 70-30 in favor of Ivory, you always have to remember there is that X factor at the end of the day with the Meepo. Even though the odds are stacked up against him, there is something that goes in there's something there in the back of your mind that suggests that you want to go for a Meepo pick and that you can make it work, right? Even when you saw the 4 picks over there, you knew what you were picking the Meepo into. So there might be a game plan behind this. And in a scenario where you are able to snowball, the gyrocopter can't stop you if you have the Mega Meepo, if you have, the Eye of Scotty, the Dragon, all of those big, huge items that the Meepo likes to build up. We will see what the Meepo is able to do as the game will be underway.
Freaking unbelievable. Hey, what kind of scam you running here?
It is a Grandmaster Meepo, so you do have to, or rather not a Grandmaster Meepo, I believe he's 1 or 2 levels away from the Grandmaster position, but still probably has some thought going behind this. I will adjust the logos in.
I'm really freaking out.
There we go, the logos have also now been added into it.
30 seconds to battle.
Let's see.
Such impatience.
The battle begins.
Krish, he does have the jaunt out. Now, I wonder what kind of a performance Krish will have on the puck here, because if you all remember last game, he gave away a kill to the Storm, or he gave away a kill to Ken, and that didn't happen just once, that happened twice. But at the same time, the Void Spirit has a lot less kill potential than the Storm does. So maybe Krish, his aggression will work out, or maybe he'll just not play as aggressive as he was in the previous game. Because you also don't want to give the lead to the other side. You have a Meepo, and it is interesting to see the Meepo here in a 4 Protect 1 draft, because that is essentially what it is. You want to make sure that you have the space for your Meepo to farm. You want to make sure that you can create the space for your Meepo to farm, and that can only happen if you're not too far behind the other side. So maybe play it a bit passive in the laning phase and then increase the tempo as it goes as you go on. There's no need to rush anything, because it will be a scenario where the gyrocopter is also going to be busy farming. And sure, they have the Void Spirit, but there aren't going to be too many rotations coming in. I think even Ken will want to farm up for that Spirit Vessel, and that's going to probably give them a bit of leeway, a bit of a adjustment period where both teams will want to settle down.
Get off my lawn!
There's going to be a bit of a pause, but as I said, it does resume. Over on the top side, again, Ancient Apparition plus Centaur, a good combo, but without the stuns here, sure, you do have the one on Rapido, but apart from that, there's not really too much, right? You can't lock down Gringe. With a Shadow Ward heal coming in before the Ice Blast, it does seem like a situation where Gringe should be able to find his farm, and you also have to be a bit careful on that Ancient Apparition, because once you do have a clone coming up for this Meepo, the Ancient Apparition could be a potential target that the show will focus on. Tammy could also be a target that Ivory could focus on. Rapido misses the stun there. But any single time it's Tammy out of position, you could go for a kill on him. It's not out of the question. It's not out of the blue. Bot lane is going to be the Treant Protector versus the Shaman. As the Shackle does come out, but I think the Shaman's pretty much A-okay. Oh, no, maybe not, actually. That should be first blood. Yep, Bisk has nowhere to go. One flat cannon hit coming in by Karma. Able to pick up the kill. And a good early game ahead start coming in. Bisk certainly the wrong position to be in, as he thought he was safe from the Treant Protector, but he had another thing coming. It was Teehee that was coming for him. Tammy goes down towards that top lane. Ivory, they're able to make it work on both of those side lanes. I mean, they're consistently able to outplay Yasho. You sure do need to be a bit careful. Now, it's not a huge loss, but it could quickly stack up against them. This offlane for Yasho is not really going to achieve much. I get the idea, right? The Shaman plus the Largo combo, it's pretty much now becoming a very stable combo. You lick someone back and use a Frog Stomp, and then you use a Shackle inside of the Frog Stomp to the Frog Stomp. You know, you're constantly being stunned, you're constantly being dealt damage. It is pretty good, especially since it's around 48 damage per stomp, right? It's not that bad. It's around 250 damage overall. At the level 2 mark, of all things. At the level 3 mark, it deals about 360 damage. And around 490 damage at the level 4 mark. So it's a lot of damage if you can actually stack it up. You can always just run out of the Frog Stomp, but that's where Bisk's shackles are supposed to come in, usually.
Dire are scanning.
Krish once again behind on lost hits. I mean, the Void Spirit has about 20, Krish only has about 12. So it's not exactly a great look for the puck. This is the second game in which Krish has not been able to find as much as he would like to. I would say that, you know, in the one series that Yasho did play, Krish was playing the position 1 role, and he had a bit better of a performance over there than he has currently on the puck. Ooh, Aether may not have landed, but it did push Krish back to the side, as Ken was able to secure the Deny Rune on that Flag Bearer creep. It's going to be Largo who gets picked up, and it's also going to be Bisk who falls. Ivory convincingly win their safe lane, as Bisk, one more punch coming in from Teehee will be what it takes. Again, both heroes falling. This is the second time that the Shaman has fallen. This is the first time Largo has fallen, but that's about 3 kills that Yasho have been able to acquire at the same time. Or rather, Ivory have been able to acquire. At the same time, Yasho finds something over on that top side. It is going to be for the Meepo. It is going to be Rapido taking out, so that at least they find a recovery on that top lane. And it's again those clones that you do have to be careful of. Both Drake and Rapido could be potential targets for the Meepo here, as a sustain coming in from the Shadow Ward will mean that you can't make a counterplay unless you rotate in heroes, unless a Treant Protector comes in, or unless Ken comes in. As Mr. Grinch, he's here towards his bot lane looking for something.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
At the same time, Frogstorm has been used, but Ken is in with the Astral Step and the Dissimulate at the ready. Or rather, no, he doesn't even have the Dissimulate. It's just the Resonant Pulse that he played with. Again, both offlaners falling. This is troublesome. They wanted to take down Karma, who is very low on his HP, but they will not be able to find him, even though Grinch is sticking around towards his bot lane. Certainly a great micro ability coming out for him, because he's playing with the Meepo on both lanes and is able to make them work, unless someone is controlling his other Meepo, which could very much be possible, which is completely allowed in a competitive game. You can share your hero with someone else, you can share your units with someone else, which is an interesting aspect about the game, right? It's the fact that something like that is completely legal, and in other games it might not be the case. It doesn't create an overpowered scenario, right, in Dota, which is the more interesting bit. So a support player who knows how to micro really well, you know, someone like that, someone that knows how to play with a Chen really well, for example, could be given control of these clone-based heroes. I suppose there is only one in the game that is clone-based. We'll see what the timing for the Aghanim Scepter will be, but I can tell you that it's not going to be there for miles. I mean, 11
Dire's top tower is under
barely has any CS, only 20 lost hits for him, as it seems like Ivory, they want the big target now. It's going to be Gringe, held in by that Hoofstorm, homing missile on top of him too. And that is going to be the Meepo down. Pretty easy kill to find if you're Team Ivory.
Dire's top tower is under attack. Radiant's middle tower is under attack. Dire's structures are fortified. Dire's top tower has fallen.
Mine.
2,000 of a net worth advantage, and the fact of the matter is, YACHE have only gotten one kill, right? It is just that kill on the Centaur. Sure, it's an offlane kill they've been able to find, but not much else, as Rapido is going for that pipe of insight. So that early pipe will block away the majority of the magical damage coming in, as Rapido, he is going to be in trouble once more, but did find that hoof stomp, and that means that Gringe will not be able to bind the Centaur down. Still very much an an advantageous scenario for Ivory, as they also take out that Largo. They're making these kills look super easy and super simple, if I'm being honest. I mean, sure, Krish does come in, but the question is, do they have the follow-up? You do have Gringe also coming in towards that War Spirit, who's held in by that silence. Dream Coil also comes down. They're pulling all their chips into this basket, and I have to say, it's really not working out. It is going to be Ivory who will run all over YACHE. It's only going to be Krish who will be able to walk out of that one, but quite frankly, the damage coming out from YACHE was not enough to take out anyone.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
It is now a 4,000 net worth advantage, and it very much seems like a scenario where you won't have a Meepo coming online. When you take a look at the net worth, it is all three heroes from Ivory who are at the very top of the net worth chart. It is going to be YACHE who are at the
Dire's bottom
4th to 6th place position, and the Largo isn't really doing well here, right? Which is probably the most troublesome thing. I mean, Panda, he only has the Phase Boots and the Soul Ring. That's it. It's all he has. At this point, you might have, he should have had one component of the Aghanim Scepter up. Now, he might still be able to get to it, but it's going to be rough. He's forced to abandon his lane. He doesn't have a tower to play with. In fact, YACHE have lost both of their tier 1 towers. Only the mid lane tower stands for them. And they don't have any way to push either, right? Which is the bigger problem. Losing towers is fine, but if you can find some kind of a trade, it's going to be worth it. Right now, you can't find trades in the form of kills, and you can't find trades in the form of towers. It is kind of the worst case scenario to be in, if I'm being honest. It means that they don't have a plan B, they just have a plan A, which is to get their Meepo to hit critical mass, but even then, it is going to be hard. Because he's always going to have a rough time against this kind of draft on the other side.
This will hasten my footfalls.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Ooh. Great illusion room grab coming in by Ken, and it's going to be Krish. Does walk away. Still though, no one actually going for moves any longer. However, Grinch, he does appear to come in, finds that Earthbind. The other Maple will also come in, but they need to be careful. He is waiting nearby. They drop down the vines. The Ice Blast is also going to come in, and the Stampede, it will turn it around on top of Yashu. Or rather, just the cores there. They will both melt. The Largo and the Meepo both going down. Ken will also come in. Again, 4 kills, and they make it look super easy.
Radiant structures are fortified.
It's just a very straightforward play. I'm taking a look at that. I'm taking a look at them going on towards Rapido, who has that pipe, and I'm wondering, are they really sure about trying to take down that Centaur? Because quite frankly, they haven't been able to take out anyone else. Dream Call will be used, but again, it really feels like it's even a struggle to take out Drake. Now, they'll probably be able to find him, especially with that Golem being there. Krish will be able to find the killing spree, but this is a 7,000 net worth disadvantage that Yashu have, or rather are faced up with, and it's really a pickle. It's you know, it's the pickle is in a pickle jar, and it's been sitting there marinating for about years.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Surprising that Ivory have not been able to, or rather have not decided to take the tier 1 tower over on the mid lane. They will do so now, as Ken is hunting for someone. Stampede will come out. It should create the space for Ken to move on over. Ether Remnant lands. There's the Ice Blast, and that is the Largo. That is the frog they will find in the pond. As it really just seems like Ivory, they're the fish. They're the bigger fish in the pond right now. There is going to be a bit of pushback. He will go down, but it's also going to be Gringe in trouble. He will fall next, as it honestly doesn't really seem like they can do much. Krish will come in to do what he can, though. Perhaps he can be the difference maker. He needs his illusory orb to be able to take Karma out. Will use it now, and he has the cursive illusory orb, so it does manage, or rather they have managed to take out Drake. But still, they have to contend against bigger targets. Largo has respawned, so they might be able to take down Krish.
Dire's top tower.
Or rather, Krish has a bit of buffer coming in with the heals from the Largo. Largo is in Krish's team. Oh, they'll go in. They have the silence. Do they have enough to actually take down Ken? Ooh, the Resonant Pulse Shield coming in, but there's the Earthbind coming in by Grins. There's another Earthbind, and it will be a great pickup, rather. One of the only few real pickups that Yashu have been able to find all game long. A wicked 6 streak going the way of Krish, as that will help him recover. I mean, he's almost up to par with the net worth as far as him and the Centaur are concerned. And maybe if he gets to this Blink Dagger, then Yashu will have some options. At the same time, is Gringe, who is making his way towards his Aghanim Scepter. Even Panda has the 1 component, almost has the 2 components. So this game, it is still very difficult, but it's not over. It's still, you know, there's still something to be had for Yashu. There's going to be a stampede. It is going to be on top of Grinch once more. It's this Ice Blast that will destroy this Meepo each and every single time until he has the Mega Meepo up. It's just not possible to play against that Ice Blast. And for YACHE, they picked the Meepo into this. So what is the game plan? Because I'm not really seeing one.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack. Dire's structures are fortified. Dire's bottom tower is under attack. Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Interesting.
Drake is hanging around in the trees. Needs to be careful. Oh, he'll drop down that sentry. They know he was there. But because he took down the sentry, there is no sentry available on the other side. He'll just Glimmer Cape and walk away. It's slightly funny to see that happen.
Radiant's middle tower is
Gyrocopter,
under attack.
Karma has the Aghanim Scepter as well as that Chrysalis. Three teleports that were coming in, they decide not to TP in. Still though, they currently possess an 8,000 net worth advantage because the Largo doesn't flash farm. The Centaur can still farm up pretty fast because the double edge doesn't really cost much to use, just only your health. It's going to be Krish sent up into the air. Ice Blast is going to land alongside that Ether Remnant, and Krish will vanish into thin air. Grinch though, still farming up for that Aghanim Scepter.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Ken goes in. Ether Remnant lands on him as well as the Shaman will be brought down.
Your magics were surprisingly powerful. Your case was decisive.
Dire's middle tower is under attack. Dire's middle tower has
Ken?
fallen. Radiant's bottom tower is
I mean, the Warlock's just dead, right? Tammy, he doesn't have any item. Doesn't have the Glimmer or Ghost Scepter. Nothing, really.
Fiends will avenge me.
Dire are scanning.
Panda will also fall here. Or rather, he's not going to fall. But Panda has the Aghanim Scepter now. So you do have the heals kicking in. You do have the overall overtime damage. But the problem is, you're trying to play overtime damage into... not overtime damage, but you need an extended team fight to dish out your damage, right? It's a damage per every time you strum. So naturally, you need an extended team fight to be able to start to stack up against Ivory. And the problem is, Ivory come in with burst damage. They come in with the Ice Blast, the Hoof Stomp, the Void Spirit. It's just overall overwhelming amounts of magical damage that you can't contest against. But it does seem like they want to go for a trade here. For Ivory, they don't seem to recognize this as happening. They want a tier 2 tower. And they might be able to find that tier 2 tower, but it'll be at the cost of Roshan going the way of YACHE, who also had that Aghanim Scepter almost up for Grinch. It is going to be Krish who needs to be very careful because the Ken is going to come in with the Ether Remnant. Ice Blast is also going to be there, and that is going to be the puck once again vanishing into thin air. Krish unable to read these movements coming in by Ivory. Despite us seeing the Centaur there, he thought it was a harmless position, a harmless Centaur, and he was right, because the Centaur never really got to use his spells. At the same time, it is going to be Moss teleports coming in from Ivory towards that bot lane. It is going to be the Meepo who is going to get caught. Now, he does have his second life, as he did take out that Ancient Apparition. I'm just wondering if this is going to be worth it. Surely not. His team is going to be there. Tammy looking to drop down that Golem, but he doesn't have one. It is going to be the Mega Meepo that does eventually come out, but the Mega Meepo cannot actually stand up right now. It is going to be Ivory who will be able to acquire essentially a full team wipe. I mean, Panda's the only real target that makes it his way out, but even then, he is going to get grabbed up. And as Krish fell towards that mid lane, the rest of his team also dies. It doesn't even seem like it's a contest, right? It doesn't even seem like Ivory, they're having to sweat getting all of these kills. I mean, when you take a look at how much they lost compared to YACHE in that fight, it was just that one ancient apparition. That's all YACHE got.
Radiant's bottom tower
That's it.
is under
Like
attack.
that's simply not going to be good enough. I mean, it's very straightforward in that sense, right? It's you either fight core to core and you either take out some cores, you know, even one core, even forget two, just take the one core down, and that might be something. But they're not able to do even that. And even if they do latch onto a core, how do they actually take them down? Because Ken has that Euls. Rapido has 3000 HP, so taking him down is, well, very difficult. And Karma, you don't even want to get close to Karma. He has a Daedalus and an Aghanim Scepter.
Dire's bottom
We'll have a Satanic of soon.
towers are scattered.
They are coming in, but they don't realize he sees them. Now they will get the initial jump, the initial initiation, but Karma, he wants to hold his ground inside of that Dream Coil. The Ice Blast is going to land and is going to clip Gringe to the Meepo, who will be able to walk back and actually going to survive against that Ice Blast. He has plenty of HP left. This might be a great fight for YACHE if they can find the kill on that Gyrocopter, but Karma decides to turn face and fight back with that Daedalus, able to find the wipeout, but hasn't actually found much. It's still going to be Krish who will go on forward with the Blink Dagger, and he might be able to get it done. He does! A monster kill streak going the way of YACHE, and even if Krish falls, he still has the phase shift though, so it doesn't even seem like Krish has gone down. He'll be able to make his way out. It's an Earthbind. He actually catches Ken. He uses himself, but does manage to find the Astral Step away. So Ken does manage to make his way out, but Krish, he seems to want to pursue. Decides against it finally. Ice Blast did land on the Largo. Oh, Krish is actually dead. I think the Largo's dead too. Okay, no, the Largo will stay alive. Mega Meepo. Well, they don't need it for the Ancient Apparition. Might need it for Ken though. As Ken should be getting licked back. There should be a shackle coming in, but Ken is actually going to disable Bisk by sending him up into the air. It's now Teehee, the one in trouble. Rapido is here though, so it might be the Meepo in danger. However, Gringe does have that Mega Meepo. The Stampede is going to come in as Gringe is struggling right now against a Gyrocopter who has appeared out of thin air. That will be enough. It will, in the end, still be YACHE's teamfight win. Despite of the small break that YACHE got, it was just that. Just a little bit of breathing room. In the end, Ivory will still suffocate them. Tammy, unfortunate to see Tammy go down like that. Might as well let the Warlock farm, right? He's not, like, he's not a threat. He's just farming away on the Warlock.
My path leads to riches.
Largo, as well as Krish, well, they're dead.
Dire are scanning.
Restore the
Shadow Shaman. Homing missile will catch onto him eventually. It won't take him out, or rather, it might actually take him out. Ken is there to take out that Shaman. He goes down. Ivory, I mean, they pretty much have this under wraps, right? 18,000 of a lead. Yasho may as well call it because it doesn't really seem like a comeback is on the horizon for them.
Dire's middle
Not this time, at the very least.
Dire's middle barracks are under attack. Dire's middle barracks has fallen. Dire's middle barracks has fallen. Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Karma.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
It's actually going to be the Meepo caught out over on the side as he was trying to make a cheeky play for some neutral creeps. He does have the buyback, but it's a rough state to be in. I mean, the middle barracks, they no longer stand. You cannot actually defend against Ivory. They can pretty much go anywhere and wherever they really want. It's going to be Panda who will fall. And honestly, it just seems a bit too brutal. This seems like they may want to go back to the drawing board, but right now, Chris, he wants to go in. Uses that 3-man dream call as the buybacks, they come in with full force. Grinch is also back into the game as he is going to go in with the Meepo. It is still the Gyrocopter who's still able to hold on strong. Grinch with the Mega Meepo coming online, but he's using the Mega Meepo just to be able to run back. Homing missile will clip him as Grinch is going to be held in by that overgrowth, and in the end he will go down. And with the Meepo falling, this looks the game like it's completely over. Bisque cannot do anything as the rest of Ivory will be able to overwhelm Yasho. It's going to be Krish who will go down. GG will eventually be called. Bisque will recognize, he will come to reality with the fact that this is an impossible game. The fact that they picked up a Meepo and had no special plan to take this game. They were simply playing it like a typical Meepo game. And against the kind of lineup that Ivory had, the Ancient Apparition, Treant Protector, the Call Down, the Void Spirit, it just seemed like a bit too much. It just seemed like Yasho, they overcooked themselves in that scenario. But next game, of course, is obviously going to be a new one. Yasho did play the first game better, even though Ivory ran all over them in that second game. Who's going to be the Game 3 winner? Well, that is what truly counts. We will find out who that winner will be as we resume with Lunar Snake Trophy right after a short break. So don't go anywhere, guys, and stay tuned. To do there.
Team ban.
Definitely an interesting proposition coming out by your show
10
side.
seconds remaining. 5 seconds
Ivory.
remaining.
Going for their 6th ban. Not really too sure who they want to ban out, but I mean, honestly, could go either way, I suppose.
Dire team ban.
They ban out that Storm Spirit. And the Ember Spirit's also banned. So I wonder if your show will actually ban out that Void Spirit Ken had last game.
Remaining.
Because there's no possibility of an Ice Blast or of an Ancient Apparition being picked up by your show. They're not going to play a core Ancient Apparition or a core Tusk. So Ivory... I mean, it does seem like both teams have their options open. The puck is available for Ivory. That's one of Ken's more played heroes. As your show will actually ban out that Tiny. Let's see if what Ivory choose to ban, as they also seem to think that for your show this is going to be an offlane Batrider. That could be the case, but then the question becomes, what are you going to pick up on that mid lane? Considering you don't know what's there on the other side. Maybe just ban out the Puck. At the same time, I mean, your show's lineup is so incredibly squishy that I would actually expect them to come up with a melee mid laner. Something like the Primal Beast wouldn't be all that bad. Beastmaster is obviously a ban. That was the very first ban coming into the game.
Dire team pick.
Lordor is going to be banned up by Ivory. Interesting.
10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds
You sure?
remaining.
Their 5th ban here. Or rather, their lost pick. And again, they kind of have to go for a melee, or rather, a frontliner for their mid lane. Or at least someone that has some kind of HP, because right now their lineup is so incredibly squishy. On Ivory's side, you have the Clockwork and the Largo, so you can absorb a lot of damage before your team fight starts to fade away.
Radiant team pick.
It is going to be a Kunkka that comes out from their side. I wonder if Krish is going to be playing that Kunkka. Ivory, though, they see the Kunkka. You can just go for the Void Spirit. It is a great hero against that Kunkka. Sure, the Tidebringer is going to be a bit of a thorn to play against in that laning phase, but later on, that X mark, you can just use that Dissimulate to dodge out that Ghost Ship. Even if you get X mark back, you have the Astro Step 2. So I think the Disseminate is actually a great ability against the X mark. Sure, it's not exactly a super reliable ability. You have to be good with it to be able to do that. And I mean, Kunkka does have to also make a bit of a mistake, but Ivory, they will just go for the Puck. It's another hero that actually does pretty well against that X mark. Just phase shift out of there, if I'm being honest. So Ivory, I would very much give them the favorable draft here, simply because of the fact that your show are playing with a mid Batrider and are going to be playing an offlane Kunkka, which is, I suppose, the right idea. The Batrider can't really do much against the Weaver in the lane, but the Kunkka, I wonder how much better he's going to fare against that Clockwork. Certainly going to be interesting. I mean, Drake has his favorite hero, right? Skywrath Mage. So Ivory probably have the right idea with this. I would give them the edge with the draft here. Not by too much high of a margin. I think it's going to be 60-40, but still with the advantage. I think in order to lock down Ken, you need some utility-based items. You perhaps may even need an Orchid coming up, because Panda, while he does have that lasso, you need to be able to close that gap to be able to plant that lasso down. Sure, it can't be dispelled away, but you also have that Skywrath Mage. It just seems like Ivory have a lot of counter initiation. Even Teehee coming in with a hookshot, the Skywrath Mage with the Silence, Largo with the Lick, even the Weaver who can go in. Sure, the Weaver probably not a counter initiation hero per se, but over on your show side, you can start things off with the X Mark, you can start things off with that lasso. You do have ways to start a fight. You need to find ways to finish the fights though, because it does seem like Ivory, I think one of the biggest things it will come down to is just how much farm both the Clinks as well as the Weaver will have. I think it's going to be, at the end of the day, what kind of output these carries have to offer, as it will be Krish who will play the Clinks. So it does seem like Yasho, they switch things around, they position their Krish back towards that safe lane spot, and it might just be a Kunkka towards the mid lane. We will have to see, because you show they're a lineup that does, switch around their roles quite a bit. So we'll have to see what they actually plan to play with, more so than anything else.
You thought you had me, didn't you?
A full 5-man smoke is going to be instantly broken by Ken, who's just waiting there in front. That is actually quite funny.
30 seconds to battle.
You thought you had me, didn't you?
Smoke breaks out as Brick does get caught by the ice shards. Is also going to be a bit slowed down, but Rick is playing a hero that has the highest movement speed in the game, so, or nearly the highest movement speed in the game. At the very least, he should be safe. He can't just teleport away. Tammy revealed the fact that he has the shards, so can't exactly stop this teleport. It's going to be all the way towards that bot lane, so he's teleporting without much HP on his hero. Sure, he does have the 5 tangos, so he should be able to replenish most of his HP. But surprising, they're actually playing with a position 5 Skywrath, as opposed to sending the Skywrath down towards that top side. But a Weaver and a Skywrath mate lane, certainly interesting, as it will be the Batrider against the Weaver. Even if the Batrider can't do much here, this is again a different laning rotation than I expected. I think it's fine though. I think 2 ranged heroes versus 2 ranged heroes could go either way at the same time.
You had me, didn't you?
Bisk probably trades much better compared to Drake, right? Sure, the Skywrath mage has a few spells to use, but Bisk comes in with the overall spammability with his Liquid Fire, as well as his Jewel Breath once he hits his level 2 mark. 11, Panda may need to be a bit careful on that Batrider, because the Weaver can always close the gap very easily with that Sakuchi. Once the Swarm is up, once you have the Geminate attacks, perhaps you go for a kill, but we'll have to see. I forgot to turn on the logos. There we go. The logos are now going to be up on your screens. Let's see what actually becomes of this laning phase. Honestly, I think it can go either way. Mid lane is probably not going to go either way. I think for the mid lane, it's pretty much going to be an even affair. The Puck versus the Kunkka, not really anything either one can do on the other at the same time. You need to at least dodge a few of those Tidebringers. Ken did manage to dodge one of them. And the reason why Ken needs to dodge them is because the Tidebringers just do too much damage to a hero like the Puck, who doesn't actually have too much HP. Teehee again needs to be a bit careful. But this is an interesting lane. 2 melee heroes versus the Tusk and the Clinks. Now you don't want to get stuck inside of the shards at the same time. I'm wondering if Teehee wants to, you know, use the cogs on anyone. I mean, he does do so, but it's interesting to just have that many pathway block spells planted down on the same position. Maybe if you can trap Tammy there, you can do something, but it's still hard. And I suppose the idea is that it's similar to the Shaman, the Largo synergy. As Karma draws first blood, it was on Bisk, and it does seem like Ivory will be off to a head start. Karma does have the 17-1 charges, so it won't be going down. Panda, forced back to his tier 1 tower, has the Tranquil Boots, so he should be able to regenerate his HP once the Tranquil Boots come off of cooldown, of course. Still not that bad, and I'm still a bit confused on this top side of who actually has the advantage. I don't think either one does. I think both sides will just farm away, and it's surprising to say that considering you have 2 supports who want to play aggressive, but simply cannot find the space to do so. The synergy that I was talking about is the Frog Stomp and the Cogs, right? So they use the Cogs and they use the Frog Stomp now. Few stuns. The only problem is there's a snowball. So Tammy should always be able to exit the shards. He'll activate his tag team, make a play towards Teehee, but the battery assault makes it impossible. So it just seems like all of the spells available for both sides here just counter each other out, which means that neither side should be coming out ahead.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Tammy once again activates that tag team. Battery Assault is still not used from Teehee. He's actually holding on to it. Perhaps he wants to use the cogs. He will do so now and will stay safe from Tammy, who won't be able to acquire the kill, but it's towards that bot lane where 11 Panda finds his recovery, or rather the revenge kill for Bisk's earlier death, able to take out Drake. Karma thinking about going forward with the Sakuchi. Could have maybe been able to take Bisk down, but with the 9-1 charges on the Jakiro, it would have been a bit risky for the Weaver, as it seems like he doesn't want to take that risk. Krish,
Radiant structures are fortified.
perhaps in a bit of trouble. Mystic Flare is going to land on top of him. There's the Frog Storm too. The shards coming in by Tammy actually block Krish. They will have to use that snowball, but they will have to come on the other side of it. Krish will go down. Tammy also not really faring too well here. Should be the second casualty. So it is the Ivory who are able to come up with 2 quick kills, and both of them for Rapido, the offlaner. So this Largo will be a very happy frog. Pretty impressive. Concussive shot comes out as another play for Krish is underway. Again, the shards are actually blocking Krish. He doesn't have a way out, and he will have another snowball, and this time around the snowball will be enough to take out Teehee. But at the end of the day, Krish will go down, and he has to now make a walk of shame back to his lane. These shards coming in by the Tusk, they're blocking Krish's escape. And although I will say, even if the shards didn't block him, the cogs were still going to be a bit of a thorn that he would have to adjust around. But it's still, you know, YACHE who are not really playing with the kind of synergy that they need to have in order to beat a team like Ivory. Drake, who was spotted out by that Observer Ward, will also fall. So Ivory, they do fight back, or rather, YACHE, they do fight back, but it's still going to be a win for Ivory, as they not only take down Krish twice, they also bring down 11, or Panda. And they might even be able to find Bisk here, who really has nowhere to go, has no teleport either. Karma, meanwhile, he's actually making a play for that Shrine of Wisdom. The only problem is there is no Shrine of Wisdom to actually take. Or rather, there is. But, I mean, with Gringe here in this position, doesn't really seem like they'll be able to find it. Maybe Karma should have settled for the kill on the Jakiro, if I'm being honest. But they do manage to waste space. Karma, because he was going on forward with the Sakuchi for the Shrine of Wisdom, Gringe had to teleport. And Gringe essentially got nothing out of this. Silence comes on towards that Kunkka. However, I don't think he's going to keep Drake alive. He will just go down. Ken comes on over though. Ghost Ship will get sent out as the full force of YACHE are here to make sure that no one can get the kill. Or get any kill here. Ken, who is going to be grabbed up by that lasso, will have the illusory orb to make it towards the other side, but can he actually make it at the safety? He's used his phase shift and has no mana for the illusory orb. The X mark is going to kick in. He does manage to throw out another orb, but in the end, he will be brought back by the X mark and will go down. YACHE, they find themselves a nice little recovery. As when you take a look at the net worth, it is the Kunkka at the very top of the net worth chart. The Klinks, Krish, who is at the second place position. So despite of actually going down twice, Krish is not that bad, not that bad of a spot here.
I close the distance.
Bisk. Oh. Trying to take out the swarm. Won't be able to. Karma will go on forward. will go back to the fountain.
Radiant's middle
It'll be
tower
towards
is
that top
under
lane
attack.
where, I mean, things have slowed down. I think these teams are fighting unnecessarily, if I'm being perfectly honest. As he has teleported himself into trouble. Tower will also go down, so Yasuo will amass themselves a 2000 net worth advantage at the 10-minute mark. Not really something too big, but still pretty valuable. There's going to be an X mark. There's going to be a Torrent too, but the Torrent will actually miss. Rapido, he doesn't actually have his level 6. He doesn't have the, you know,
Radiant's bottom
the symphony of skills.
attack. Dire
Probably just gonna fall here. Krish will actually be able to pick up the kill, as that is a nice bit of recovery for the Clinks, who already found his recovery. So this is just a big boost to the Clinks, more than anything else.
attack.
Karma has that time lapse, so there's not really any way to take out the Weaver unless you are able to land that Ice Path or the Lasso or the Ghost Ship, one of those 3 big abilities. But it's still, they're all unreliable because Karma doesn't really have that Blink Dagger, won't be going for it anytime soon. So it's going to come down to the X mark or the Ice Path to build up the space for Karma to come in, or rather the Panda to come in with the Lasso.
Dire's middle tower
Still,
is under attack.
kind of not that effective.
Lively now. Your admiral is on duty.
The pup going for the Witchblade, probably the right item. You need some magical damage. At the same time, you already see Panda itemizing for that pipe. So it just depends on how these timings actually coincide. Panda able, or rather, not really able to do anything there. Every time you get stuck into the side of the cogs and the Weaver is nearby, you will most likely fall.
8 knots and full ahead.
Range coming in, misses the Torrent, but the Ice or Dream Call was used to be able to keep Grinch at bay. So it does mean that Bisk will live to tell the tale, or Drift will live to tell the tale. It's gonna be Teehee, who does find perhaps the perfect set of cogs there. Unfortunately, he will go down. The Weaver was looking for something, but can't really find it. It's this Ash Season Shield, 140 physical damage block, which means the first 3 hits of the Weaver doesn't really do much, and the Weaver doesn't have too much attack speed at this point. In fact, the Weaver, he needs to be... Oh, okay, Torrents have not really been on point this game. I'm going to be honest about that. Like, I have seen a lot of Torrents come out, and I've seen a lot of Torrents miss. Now, Ken, he doesn't have the Dream Call, but wants to hold on to his tower. He won't be able to keep that tower alive, and the hookshot will actually miss. What is going on? Both teams not unable to land their skill shots. Now the Torrent does finally land on top of Drake. Unfortunately, it's a set of cogs that came out from Teehee that is holding back both Bisk and Tammy. Tammy has gone down, Drake has fallen. It is going to be supports being traded out, but again, a favorable exchange for Yasuo, as they do manage to find the kill on the 2 supports and only lose the 1. There will be a bit of pause, but it's a 3000 net worth advantage for Yasuo, and the fact of the matter is the Weaver does not really come in with any kind of damage. He's going for a Maelstrom as opposed to the Desolator that the Clinks is building up, and actually has. I believe Krish, his Desolator is flying in the courier. Yeah, his lost Mithril Hammer. So the difference in damage is actually staggering between both of these 2 sides. A Desolator versus a Maelstrom? It's not really ideal.
I'm sensing a pattern here.
I love how every time there's a pause, that's when, you know, you see the most amount of voice lines actually come out. It's either after you win a fight or after you outplay the other side, there's a voice line, or when there's a pause. You know, something to kill the time. Something with which to kill the time.
Step lively now. Your admiral is on board.
Brick held in by the shards at the edge of the Shrine of Wisdom and will not be able to hold on to it. It'll be a quitting spree for Krish. Tammy will pick up the Shrine of Wisdom. Both of the shrines will go in favor of Yasho, as they do now have that Orchid to deal with the puck.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
With which to deal with the puck. Who still does not have that Witchblade. It is going to come into his inventory now. Ooh, and he'll be able to jaunt away right as he sees the Kunkka.
Radiant's top tower has fallen.
So they know something is awry. Now Ken probably should not be looking to make a play here. Both Bisks as well as Teehee's smoke is going to break. And they'll realize that there may be an impending teamfight. They don't see too many heroes around the map. I don't think Krish and Tammy are visible.
Dire are scanning.
At the same time, Drake. Again, Ashley's shield kicks in, but there's a Walrus Punch that will take him out. Unfortunately, I don't think Tammy will escape out of this play. He went too far deep. And eventually that will just be a trade. It'll be giving a kill to Ken. I'm not sure if that's worth it. Apologies for that. I had a small sneeze. But giving a kill to Ken while getting a kill for yourself, that's not really worth it. I mean, you give him about 300 gold to the puck, 250 experience too. Krish can't get the skill. I mean, it's just impossible. Rapido has too much sustain. 2000 HP on that Largo. But it's towards that bot lane. Karma able to pick up the kill again. Maelstrom only for this Weaver, but still able to make it work somehow. As it does seem like Krish is, or rather should be playing more aggressive, right? You have the Desolator, may want to snowball at the back of it. Perhaps go for some collective tower push with that Orchid. You have these fighting kit items, right? The Orchid, the Desolator, but they're not really fighting. 11 went for the Boots of Bearing instead of the pipe. Now is going for the pipe. So there's going to be a bit of window where the Witchblade can actually do some work. So both sides should ideally start the fight, but neither side actually wants to. Yasho have the 4,000 net worth advantage, so perhaps they're actually thinking that they're still content with the kind of lead they currently possess. Teehee. Lasso could be used here, but Bisk will come in with the Ice Path and they won't need the lasso.
Yeah, baby.
Dire's middle tower is under attack. Dire's top tower is under attack. Radiant's bottom tower is under attack. Radiant structures are fortified.
Step lively now. Your admiral is on board.
Grinch is gonna get held in by that Dream Coil, and you have Karma there too, but the Ghost Ship comes out, so he does have some bit of damage reduction. Unfortunately, he ate a full duration Mystic Flare. And that will be the Kunkka's life being taken out. A fair bit of recovery found by Ivory as they do bring back the lead at least a little bit. It is essentially 1,000 gold or around 900 gold, and Karma got the majority of it.
Is under attack.
He'll also spot out Tammy, who's gonna get silenced down. Concussive shot gonna land on him, slowing him out. As Tammy, I mean, he'll have that snowball, but he is as good as dead right now. He'll actually come in with a nice little play, but towards the side, it's also going to be Bisque in trouble. Battery assault on him, and he has no way out of this position. Trying to find the deny, but will not be successful with it. Ivory, they mitigate that 4,000 lead, and now it's only a 2,000 lead standing for YACHE, who are, again, playing very passive. I suppose they were making an attempt to spot someone out that they could go for over on that bot lane, but they got caught in a compromised scenario.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack. Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Ken? It'll be Rapido who'll get taken out. Teehee and the Weaver are here. YACHE, again, as soon as the lead went to the 2,000 mark, they found a few quick kills, able to get it back to the 4,000. Unfortunately, it's going to go back to the 3,000 as you do have Panda being taken out by Ken. Yule's up for the puck, so he has a lot of survivability. He can dispel away the Orchid if he wants to. At the same time, Panda does acquire the Pipe of Insight, so there's, you know, it's a back and forth exchange where one side is getting something, but the other side is also getting something. Now, whose something will be bigger? That is the big question. Karma wants to walk on forward, but forced to use the time lapse against Krish.
Dire's structures are fortified.
Tier 1 tower going to be taken out by Ken, who will jaunt towards the other side, but and will actually make it towards that low ground. Snowball is going to come in, but I really doubt they can get the skill. I mean, he'll just jaunt away again. Playing with YACHE at this point. Ken, I mean, he comes in with that star power, right? He comes in on the puck. Certainly one of the best players on the puck as far as the tier 2 Southeast Asian scene goes.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
And I do think that the playmaking capacity of Southeast Asian players, you know, at the tier 2 stage is
Has fallen.
probably a lot better than some of the other regions. But at the same time, it's the overall synergy that a lot of Southeast Asian teams lack, and it's the overall capacity to close out games that is, in my opinion, the biggest hurdle to the Southeast Asian region. Puck will jaunt away and actually use his Dream Coil before he did so, but in the end, the lasso's waiting for him. Ice Path is going to land on top of that puck, and they will commit to the lasso despite of probably not even needing it. Krish to end up with a dominating streak and a 5,000 net worth advantage. It'll be Teehee who will also go down as a casualty in the midst of all of that. 1,200 gold being acquired and around 400 gold lost for the side of Ivory. Ken may have that Blink Dagger, so even as he goes down, he also picks up a decent power spike. For the puck, that is that maneuverability. And for the puck, you know, if you have all of these items, the Blink Dagger, the Yules, and all of your spells that allow you to maneuver, you should not be getting caught, because you're playing a hero that if you get caught, you're probably going to die.
Arcane power.
Puck teleporting towards that bot lane. Might be able to take out Bisque. He does have that pipe aura coming in, but Teehee will cast that Jakiro and actually finds Tammy too. It'll be a snowball to readjust, but Gringe is here. He'll be able to take out Teehee. Ivory, they don't have too many options, and it's actually Ken caught by the Ice Path. Rapido, surprised by the fact that he no longer has a puck alongside him, and he will go down. Chris just simply comes in with too much damage. It'll be the Weaver who'll lose his first life. And again, as he comes back, he will be sent up into the air and will get bursted down. It will be Yashu who only lose the one, but will be able to acquire maybe just everything in this team fight. Only Tammy, or rather Drake, was able to make his way out. Tower being collected as well. As that was a 2,500 net worth advantage for the side of Yashu. Tier 2 tower also being collected. They are on a 10,000 net worth lead, and this is troublesome for the side of Ivory. Despite of them itemizing, you know, they have the farm on the puck, used blink dagger, everything. It's just the fact that if you get clipped even once, you are dead. There aren't too many abilities that can actually catch you out, but it's in that last fight, it was the ice path coming in by Bisk. They cannot afford to be compromised in that kind of a position. They do find the dream call, and it's a great waning rift actually catching the 380. He comes with a hook shot, but again that snowball will be able to reposition them around. And the question is for Yashu, will they disengage from this position, because it doesn't really seem like they have the advantage. But as I say that, he does fall. Krish seems to want to fight here. Gringe, not too much HP left on him. It'll be Rapido Songs that will actually take Gringe out, but will be traded. In the end, it is going to be a 3 for 2, but actually, it might end up being worse unless the Weaver makes his way out. Ken goes for a big play, but ends up bungling it. He did take Bisk out, but at the cost of his own life, and that is not going to be worth it for the puck.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Yashu, in the end, this may have seemed like an even team fight, but you did lose the puck. So, and it's the fact that Krish stayed alive. It's 800 gold for this carry player, and he has that Daedalus now at the back of that one team fight, and this amount of damage is just too much. This is danger zone, or rather approaching the danger zone for the Radiant side. If you get stuck by that ice path, if you get hit by that torrent, by that snow, by the Walrus punch, by the lasso, you are as good as dead. I do not think anyone apart from the Largo has the amount of sustain to survive against the damage output that will come out from the Sklinks.
Step lively now. Your admiral is on board.
Teehee. Ken going for the lasso. Rather jaunts away to the other side, but gets clipped by the ice pods. Bisk's ice pods, man, these are just too good. He's able to catch the puck, as it seems, nearly effortlessly. As the sentry ward gets planted down, as they realize there is an observer ward there, it'll be Tammy who will lose his life, but in the end will be traded out for Teehee. Krish is now on a beyond godlike streak. As Bisk tries to find himself at a distance, it's a two-man torrent coming in. Again, another ice bath. This time around, Karma was able to activate his time lapse, but in the end, by the time he does so, reversing time will also mean that by the time he comes out on the other side, his team will have already gone down. Rapido, the last casualty, as once again, Yashu are simply getting way too much. Karma does have that Mjolnir as well as that BKB, but needs to now start scaling up in terms of damage output. You know, you activate the BKB, but you need to be able to dish out a healthy amount of damage, at least compared to someone like Krish. Now, it's hard to have the kind of damage output the Klinks does with the Desolator and Daedalus, but you need a Daedalus of your own.
Is under attack.
Right, Karma, it has queued it up. It's a question of whether or not he can get to it, and by the time that he does, of what will Krish have? Because it's a 5,000 net worth difference between these two, right? 4,500. Oh no. Oh no, that is a blunder. That is... Oh, not good. That is not good. That's still, you know, my analysis boils down to two words there. Not good. Losing Ken this many times. He's 5 and 6 right now. His skill feed score not really looking too impressive. He's had these 3 items for the past 7 minutes, and it's just... a 75% win probability for the side of Yasho. You take a look at how the game was 50-50 at the 22-minute mark for the past 6 minutes have really not worked out for them.
Radiant's middle tower has fallen. Radiant's middle barracks has fallen. Radiant's middle barracks. Radiant's middle barracks has fallen.
Mid-side barracks will go down.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Step lively now. Your admiral is on board.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
As towards that bot lane, or rather top lane, it's lost tier 2 tower that was still standing for Ivory.
Radiant are scanning.
And they don't even have a mid lane on barracks, so it's rough. It is truly going to be a mountain to climb as far as the comeback goes. I'm honestly not sure if Ivory are in a position to be able to mount up that comeback. You need to get to this Daedalus and you need to get to it desperately, but even then, it's Ken who is getting outplayed by Bisk again and again, Abe getting clipped by these ice bots.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Krish walking on forward. Now, he can't take the Weaver down all by himself, but once he gets his burning army, these barracks, I wonder how you're going to defend them. Walrus Punch comes out, and surely not, but they do! They burst Karma down, and they made it look so simple. The counter initiation is going to come into play as they want to punish Krish for this. But they might not be able to with Krish having the cavalry arrive. Oh, that is a massive loss to Ivory. And it was just that one punch. It was just that 1.75 second of time that they needed to be able to take out that Weaver. More than 2,000 damage per second. 3,500 damage. Oh. In such a little time.
Just for more. Did anyone see a path?
Roshan nearly uncontestable, because how do you even contest it? The pipe is up, the force off, there's snowballs, there are repositions, there's the ice spots from Bisk that has constantly been the bane of Ivory's existence, and it's going to be the banner, it's going to be the Aegis on Krish, and he will also be in possession of that Aghanim Scepter. A very impressive performance every single time, and considering that it's a big contrast, right? Krish, I would say, did not play very impressive on that mid lane. He, in fact, was very far behind compared to Ken. So I would say Ken is the better mid lane player, but on this carry position, Krish has a completely different record. Even in that last series that Yasho played, Krish was phenomenal on that Shadow Fiend carry, able to turn the game around too for Yasho. Another Walrus Punch and another dead Puck. And this is perhaps a very unique scenario in most competitive games. It doesn't really happen like this, right? Walrus punches are not enough stun durations or airtime durations to be able to take someone out. But the fact of the matter is, Ivory have such squishy heroes and they are so far behind compared to the damage output coming in from Krish that is just not possible. I'm not even sure the Burning Army will be used here because, quite frankly, they don't seem like they need it. With Ken not actually having a buyback, he bought out for the Mystic Staff, and this might just be the very end for them. I mean, 30 seconds without their Puck, Burning Army is still at the ready, and Krish can just use it on this last remaining barracks. Hookshot almost came in. I think I saw it at the edge there, and that will be enough. They will actually go for a lasso on Rapido, who'll activate his BKB, but in the end, he is going to go fall. Karma able to use the time lapse, but it's actually going to be Ken who will call GG, as there's simply no way out for Ivory. It will be Yasho who will end the game 33 minutes in with a 24,000 net worth advantage. It took a very shaky game number 2 for them to realize that the real position for Crush is on that position 1 role, and even on that position 2 role, Gringe managed to hold his own against the puck, but the true MVP of this game by far is going to be Bisk on that Jakiro. Just the amount of ice spots he was able to find, the amount of times he was able to secure the puck and the Weaver, allow his team to take care of them. It's that one spell that turns out to be that MVP. It's honestly became impossible for Ivory to play against that because the disables were just a bit too much. And in the end, you're sure they are going to come up with their second series win. For Ivory, it is of course going to be their first series loss. So again, like I mentioned earlier, both of these two teams should be able to make it into the playoffs. Ivory, 1 series win, 1 series loss. Yasho have actually 2 series wins and 1 series loss. So Yasho have guaranteed themselves to be in the playoffs. Ivory, though, they need at least 1 more win to guarantee themselves. And the reason I say that is because Shark Squad have yet to play a single series. So we have yet to see what kind of scoreline Shark Squad actually starts to develop. And I believe I did look at the roster for Shark Squad. You can't underestimate them, right? They're coming in with former Ivory players, former Interactive Philippine players. I mean, Gohan, who was the carry for Ivory for some time, Yona on that mid lane, Young G as well, Sajiri and Rikusu. You've all seen them before, and it does seem like a roster that might be able to do a bit of something, but we will see. We will be back with Lunar Strength Trophy tomorrow, as for now this was the only match, but tomorrow we actually have 2 matches lined up for you. And that should be definitely very exciting. It is going to be Shark Squad playing both of those best of 3s, but it's going to be against different opponents, of course. It is going to be the first one against Yasho and the second one against Ivory. So Shark Squad will actually have their work cut out for them. For now, guys, this is going to be it. I'll be back tomorrow. This was your host, Taltrus. Do make sure to tune on in then, and I will be signing out.